Next, a Palestinian woman who gained notoriety in the late 1960s and early 70s for hijacking 2 planes is set to give a talk in the UK on Friday. Layla Khaled, who also calls Hamas militants freedom fighters, will appear via video link at a fundraiser hosted by the Palestine Solidarity campaign, who've of course been organising all of those marches. But her appearance has sparked concern amongst Jewish campaign groups and has been raised with members of parliament. Well, I'm joined now by political commentator Yousef David. Welcome to the show, Yousef. How does it make you feel when you see somebody who effectively was a terrorist being feted and interviewed in the UK decades on during this very sensitive political time?
I think it's abhorrent. This is an unrepentant terrorist or former terrorist who's being used for a fundraiser. People are going to give money based on her actions and her words. Could they not find a more appropriate person to speak for their movement?
Now, of course, she's not actually going to appear in the country. It's via video link. So what about those who will say, well, this is freedom of speech?
I'm all for freedom of speech, but what we are witnessing is the normalisation of extremism. There are very, very many people who want to advocate for Palestinian rights, and they are not unrepentant terrorists. They're not people who describe Hamas baby butcherers as freedom fighters. There are plenty of decent people who they could choose, and they've chosen someone who's got an extremist past and hasn't in any way rode back from her previous actions. So freedom of speech is one thing, but we need to bear in mind the impact that it's going to have on the Jewish community, the wider community in the United Kingdom, and there should be a level of responsibility placed on the organisers.
And Yousef, that leads me neatly on to my next question. In an interview with GBNews today, Suella Braverman has said that parts of London have become no-go areas for Jewish people. What would you say to that?
I would say that in times where there are heightened tensions, definitely Jews do need to be careful. I myself find that I can go all throughout London, and thank God things are generally quite calm and accepting. Having said this, Rishi Sunak made a speech Friday evening where he said that we were going to be clamping down on extremism. We need action, not just words. The fact that just prior to his speech, there was the projection on the Elizabeth Tower of what is widely considered to be a hate message by the same group, the Palestine Solidarity movement. And then just after his speech, we have this unrepentant former terrorist going to give an online talk. So we need to ask ourselves, what are we actually doing to tackle extremism? And it won't be too long that areas of London will be no-go zones if we don't do something about this.
OK, thank you for joining us, political commentator Yousef David. And it's worth pointing out that you talk about let's have action. I was out there on Wednesday when those images were being projected. I was repeatedly saying to police officers, there's a projector, go and take it down. What are you going to do? That's an offence. They simply shrugged and did nothing. And when they keep saying we need action, well, when's it going to happen? When will that action happen? They have the bill. Do they have the will? That's the big point. And as for getting former terrorists to speak in Britain, even via video link, does that send out the message that runs alongside the message from the government that anybody who undermines the values of Britain will be classified as an extremist? Surely this does that. Let me know your thoughts. GBViews@gbnews.com.